Awesome. Okay. So what you guys are seeing here is Sisu. If you are in the coaching program, Sisu connects directly to your command. You don't really have to do anything extra except put your people into command, start opportunities when you have signed agreements, listings, things like that, and then it'll equate to your conversions, your numbers, and project what we need to project. So if you have gotten a reminder from me to log into command, which you guys wouldn't yet, so do this. It's coming from MAPS Coaching, because this is how my coach can see our progress. And right now, currently, we have, out of all of the people in my coach's roster, we have 75% integration. Everybody else is at like 20s and 30s. And I promised him we'd get to 90 before family reunion. So don't do me dirty, guys. Just integrate and start using command as you're supposed to. It's really nothing extra. And it's really neat because it'll show you really where the coaching team is, because when we look at the lore that Mike reports out at team meeting, it's always off. And then you can see that we're outpacing some really large teams, right? So I'd love to have the best, top, biggest team here at the Market Center. That would be super impressive, because that means anybody in coaching should be on their way to cap and should then eventually be in that top 20% of the Market Center, right? Which is kind of my goal for everybody. But this is the only way to show it, because when we do lore, we have people who, like, Nicole's on Liliana's team. Justin is on Mark Stewart's team. We have several people that are on teams, so their numbers don't count in our numbers on the lore, but this is, and it's just really impressive. So we'll talk more about this later when I can get more people in the room and kind of walk you through exactly how it integrates and really what it shows you. And when you are in the Sisu, oops, sorry, excuse me. I turned that off. Oh, please. Enable, yeah, okay. When you have the ability to go in, you then see a different screen. So you get to see your own pipeline. You get to see your own conversions, and it's really neat. So next time we meet, especially when I meet you, because I think I have a meeting with you very, very soon, we'll go through that. So that was just a little bit of housekeeping there to show you.
Quick question. How do we get from 75% to 90%? Like what additional should we be doing?
I can answer that. So Shanna has asked me to help get everyone who's not integrated. She's going to get me a list. And next week, when I'm back in the office after all these crazy snow days, I want to sit down with each person and just help you get connected. It takes, no joke, 5 minutes. So it's not going to be difficult. Or if we cannot schedule a time together next week, we have the 30 minutes during coaching. So from 10 to 10:30 that I can sit down and just kind of show everybody who's not integrated how to get integrated.
Okay, so it's just a matter of setting up.
Yeah, it's just a matter of setting it up. And then the people who are set up, I want to make sure you guys understand how it reads, right? So how do you know if you've got a buyer agreement? Well, it's got to be showing in Sisu, right? So instead of calling people out, I want to make sure that I get people in so I have good examples. If I were to go in here to the dashboard, oops, there we go. And I go to a snapshot. That way we can actually see conversations and appointments set and all these different things, because it's all being tracked through command. And again, it's not just another system that you have something to do with. Let's find Amy's. So this is for right now, she's got 2 pending, 1 closed. And so we could go back in and see her trends. We can go in and see appointments. We can see all of that, but we just have to make sure that we're utilizing command as we're supposed to. It's really helpful because you can get in and see, exactly who it is, and it projects your volume and all kinds of stuff. So I'm doing an awful job at explaining all of it, but it's really good, I promise. And we'll spend a little more time doing that kind of stuff. So
I had a quick question on that.
Yes.
I keep getting emails that are like, let us know what you're up to, what you're doing, all that good stuff. Is there anything I need to be doing with that? Like, do I need to be like, or does it track that for me? It just says if I'm having a conversation, all that kind of stuff.
Is it through command or is it through Sisu? What are you seeing these through?
It's Sisu, I'm pretty sure. It's like, here, let me pull it up so I can make sure I'm telling you the right thing. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
like if I
Shanna,
got it
remember-
yesterday.
What I'm doing. And
Shanna,
I-
remember that we talked about how, because of Sisu, when we first got signed up, it was sending us 3 emails a day asking
Yeah.
us. And it's like, I mean, mine were at like 4, 5, and 6, or 5, 6, and 7 at night.
Extra
and then you
accountability.
Turned them off for me.
Yeah, so I think it is command. It's saying like, we want to hear about your day, tell us about your day, like make sure you're tracking whatever. I've gotten like 3 a day since I signed up and got everything connected.
Okay, I'm thinking that that is through the pro coach team and command.
Okay.
Which I'm trying to do away with it because we have this. So if it's coming from command and it doesn't have my name on it and doesn't say Sisu on it, you can ignore it at this point. I don't know how
Okay.
to turn that off, but I'll figure it out. Cool?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna start getting into the habit of really tracking our results, sharing our results, and just starting every session with that. So that's where I wanted to get into Sisu and kind of start there. First things first, what are you guys struggling with right now? Right? So what kind of things are you seeing out in the field, or when you're digging into your database or whatever, that you're struggling with that we need to make a point to chat about?
I
Cool.
feel like for me, it's just hard, like getting the leads, if that makes sense. Like I'm so fresh, I don't have like hardly any contacts yet, or of like
Uh-huh.
people that are interested. So I haven't been able to do a whole lot in command or anything yet because I don't have those connections quite yet.
Love it. If it's like I paid her to say that, so we could go right into our topic today. No, thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate it. So if you don't have the contacts in command, how do you get them, right? We've decided that there's 2 types of agents. There's that agent who has the database, has the sphere, has the people that know, like, and trust them. And all they have to do is formulate a way to make sure that they're touching those people regularly and loving on them, right? And then the other side of that coin is I don't, right? I don't either have the database full of people that I like, that I want to talk to, or that I'm comfortable talking to. So I have to do those activities with strangers, right? So if we're talking about those 2, really what you do is you meet the strangers and you start turning them into the know, like, and trust people, the MET database, right? So I'm going to switch some things around up here. A couple of things. This is all found. I found these, I forget where I found them, but they're all in the command, or not the command, the shared database. What am I trying to say? The Google Drive that I've shared with you guys. If you go into the system and models folder, there's tons of these one sheets that really just tell you exactly how to do certain things. So these came from top producers in KW in the last years. So Troy's SOI model, right? So this would be for the person who's in the #1 category, right? I know people that like and trust me and they want to do business with me. Maybe I've got 201. That would be fantastic, right? All right. So then you would pick your area that you want to dominate and articulate your value, right? And I can't tell you what your value is. That's you, right? What makes Emmy, Emmy? What makes Johnny, Johnny, right? Like, it's not what I'm going to do. And your niche is going to be different than mine. Niche, niche, whatever you want to call it. I don't really actually know, but I don't want to get called out. So, if Dustin's into cars, wouldn't it make sense for him to network with people who like to race or rebuild cars, right? Because he likes to do that already. That is true, isn't it? I thought so. If he likes to do that already, then it makes sense because he's doing something that should be profitable and pleasurable at the same time, right? Because when we don't have a lot of time because we're working this thing, we don't have a lot of free time. So when we make that free time pleasurable and profitable, it makes sense, right? So picking what makes you and pouring into that, right? So in this example, he had a very small town and he was going to be the guy, the real estate guy in that small town. He would had to be the local economist. So he created vendor lists, which we've talked about that quite a bit, right? Like, come up, you're the Angie's List of real estate, right? So you've got to give them the plumber, the handyman, the HVAC guy, and you better know more than one, let me tell you, because if that one messes up, or like me, I keep referring people that have now gone out of the business because they're old and they were great. So make sure you've got some backups. Here I am like, Amy, who is your such and such? Because my guy doesn't do this anymore. You know, and community information and being that real estate expert. So when we talk real estate, this is the infrastructure of our community, right? So what other things do you need to know? Do you need to know about what new roads are being built? What new laws are being passed? Absolutely. How about what's going on in the community when it's the Japanese garden days? Those are kinds of things that you need to start to learn and to know so that you're the local know-it-all, right? That's hard to do in a community as big as ours, right? Especially because we've got all these like neighboring communities outside. So start small. You don't have to know everything about everything all at once. Figure out a subdivision, figure out, you know, if it's Nixa, like Jason Massingale, right? He does the Nixa thing. Who's got Ozark? I don't know. Who's got Rogersville? Figure out what you're into and start to become that market expert. Cool. And then you fill your database. So really all you guys are doing is hunting and gathering, right? You figure out where you want to go, and then you hunt and gather and you pull all of the people in and you pour them into your database. And then once they're in the database, you got to communicate with them, which we've learned, right? But it's how do you put them in the database first? So that's where I'm so glad Adelie said that, because that's really where I was trying to go with this is you either have a phone or a Facebook full of people that for whatever reason you don't want to communicate with. And it's unbeknownst to me, so figure it out for yourself. Is it because they're really not your people, or you don't make the effort to pour into them, so it's a more embarrassing to reach out to them? Or is it that it's a mindset shift that you need to change the way you think? Right? We talked a lot in Ignite about like affirmations and things about, you know, people want to hear what you have to say. You have to wake up every morning and change the way you think of it, right? So figure out what the problem is, diagnose that problem, and then move on. It's an objection, just like you would with any seller or buyer. Isolate the issue and then move on. Should they be in your phone? Maybe, you know, Nathan's got people in his phone, it's called jerk, don't answer, right? So if that's the case, great, move on. And let's find more, because you got to get to 201 people in your database, because that's the math, right? Jason Abrams says all the time, because math, right? That's the easiest way to describe it. All right. We spend a ton of time talking about communicating with your people. So I'm not going to really hone in deep on that today, because we know, you got to call them 4 times a year. You got to put them on some kind of smart plan. It's a neighborhood search or it's a nurture. It's one or the other. Start small. But you just got to communicate with people. And the first step is figuring out who you want to do business with, because you're business owner. So you have the ability to make those choices, right? Holly doesn't have to go out and show every single buyer or seller everything, because she owns her own thing and she can do it the way she wants to do it, right? And I say that a lot of us sitting in this room don't have a lot of business. So I would make the time to go show and do the things, right? Take care of what you have. We haven't quite earned the right to say, yeah, I don't think I want to show today. I think I need a showing agent to help me, right? We're not there yet. When you're doing 60 deals a year, absolutely. Let's talk about it then. Anywho, does that make sense? Am I beating a dead horse at this point, or did I make myself pretty clear? Cool, moving on.
Those showings, is it like you have to sign up for the showings, or like?
What showings?
Like if you're showing houses for different real estate agents, do you have to like sign up with a team, or like tell the team that you're interested in showing?
If that's a path you want to take, absolutely. Have you seen the Opportunity Knocks link yet? I would click on that, because if you have interest in being part of a team that's, a showing agent or anything like that, and we can talk about it after class, I would start to do that. There are some situations where teams are looking for like somebody to go open a door, and they may pay you a flat fee to do something like that. But that's a different conversation. So
Okay.
yeah, good question though. All right, so. All right, so there's that one. This one I thought was really good too. And by the way, guys, these are all in your Google Drive that I've shared with you. So building a listing-based business from your SOI, because I think most of us, whether we want to agree with the statement or not, you probably have enough people in your database to, and when I say your database, I mean your Facebook, I mean your phone, I mean just your personal connections, to make this work. So again, it's the quarterly call, it's the client events, it's the touch to the database. What I liked about this was to take all of your past clients and group them into 13 weeks so that there's 13 weeks in a quarter. So you are then systematically touching them if you don't like the DTD2 system, right? This is just another way to do it. The only wrong way to do any of this is to just not do it. So as long as you're doing it, I don't care what your system is. And I'm going to give you as many ideas on what makes sense because each of us sees through a different lens, right? So I might be able to look at Sisu and see exactly what data I need, while others may say, well, that's pretty pie charts you've got there. I don't really know what I'm looking at. Same thing goes with any kind of tracking system, right? A pipeline report, anything like that that you're looking at, whatever system works, do it. Because if I give you a system and you don't do it, then it's certainly not going to work. Okay. So these are just other ideas. And the math again is the 20 connections a day. And a connection is a two-way conversation. That really hasn't changed in the last, I don't know, 15 years. Whenever they first did the math on how many contacts a day needed to get appointments, it's been 20. Now, with a shifted market or a lower skill set, it may take you more. But if you're at minimum hitting 20 two-way conversations, and I don't care if it's texting, email threads going back and forth, direct messages or phone calls or belly-to-belly meets, as long as there's a two-way conversation, not a one-way conversation, it counts. Right? So, and talking to your mom doesn't count, guys, just to let you know. So that's really the math in it. And then these are just different ways to tag the database, right? So again, nothing magical here that we haven't heard a million times, but I'm hoping you hear it a little different today. And it makes you think, okay, I really got to get in my database. I really got to organize it, right? I've been hearing the whole database for years. And I didn't quite get it because I was like, no, the database is just doing its thing. We need to go find and hunt and gather for the new colder business. It really just depends on which model you operate out of, right? If you're needing to add to the database, then yeah, do it with strangers, go get the new stuff. And there's a million ways we talk about to do that, right? There's the Facebook ads, there's open houses, there's door knocks, there's cold calls, there's all of that good stuff there. But if that's not your jam, this has to be, right? This is a relationship business where you have to talk to people. So if you don't like talking to people, we need to have a bigger conversation, right? Sometimes I don't like talking to people, but you know.
Well,
right.
but to your point though, for someone that doesn't feel comfortable talking to people, we'll text them, message them on Facebook. I mean, that's less confrontational than calling someone on the phone.
Absolutely. And then there was a video I shared that came from Dina Williams, I believe at KWRI, and it was the 6-figure social media data bank. Do you guys remember that one? Maybe, I don't remember. You remember it? Okay, cool. I'm like, somebody validate me, please. Yeah, she was awesome, but she basically said, if you're not a phone call to phone call person, don't try to be. Go into the system that works for you, right? So use the platform that you communicate. If I got on and started calling people in my Facebook, they would be like, what do you want? Like, why are you calling me? But if I were to say that same message through a direct message, they'd be all about it, right? So communicating in the same platforms and the same systems, it works too. You just got to make it your own. Okay. So then that kind of leads me into, hold on, who's chatting with me? Oh, Cassidy. Okay, let's, I don't know how old this is, so I'm just gonna go through it. I clean houses on the other side to meet people, and I meet so many lovely people. Just make sure you save their information into command. That's the discipline part. She's really bad at that. Your time and energy to create these relationships in a new area, growing slowly, getting better and getting out there. So that's fantastic. So she's found another way to make money, but also meet more people, right? Because she's cleaning a house. Guess what? They live there. They either own it or they rent it or they want to buy a new one, right? Oh, this house is dirty. It's time to move. You know, whatever makes sense. But that is the most important part is when you are networking and when you are meeting these new people, get their information. Don't just give your business card. That's the most passive approach. Do you want to do real estate passively or do you want to do it intentionally? If you're going to do it intentionally, then I say, hey, Holly, you know, here's my app. Give me your information. And guess what? I am going to reach out to you. It's not like a smoke and mirrors here. No, you're going to hear from me. Otherwise, don't give me your information. And then, Christy, other than mentioning my real estate and building my relationships with massage clients, what can I do to get their business in real estate? All right, I'm going to pose this question to the group. Other than mentioning my real estate and building my relationships with her massage clients, what can she do to get their business in real estate? Tim, what you got?
Open-ended questions.
Okay,
What real estate goals do you have this year? Do you have any real estate goals this year? Do you own your own home? Do you want to own your own home?
mhm,
Just, if you can have a conversation, I don't know massage it's a conversational time,
why not?
but if you can and they're open to it, you just ask questions. Don't talk. Ask. Get them to open up.
Yeah.
And find your way.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all.
People like to talk about themselves. So to Tim's point, if you can get,
And their real estate holdings, they like to talk about.
You bring up real estate, they want to talk about it. It's,
Everybody wants to own a lot of real estate, even if
Yes.
they can't or don't, they want to. Let me help you get there. It's just a plan.
yep, once you've entered into the conversation of, yes, I do real estate on the side, or yes, I also do real estate or whatever, you start just asking those questions. Thank you. Very good. Christy, did that answer your question? Let's see. Yes. Okay, perfect. I always talk and leave cards or magazines. Oh, Cassidy does when I'm not good at running chats, guys. I need somebody else to do this for me. Cool. Yeah. Some people like a passive approach to get a conversation started, right? So I was telling somebody the other day, I don't necessarily want to go buy my dog food and then talk about real estate, but if I wear my KW jacket, they're going to talk about real estate with me. It happened the other day. I actually got to meet Brian Jackson's daughter. She's like, hey, KW. I'm like, hey, what's up? Right. When we had to go buy my daughter's car this past weekend, again, Nathan, we'll talk about that later. Awful story. But I had to go buy a car again and I wore my jacket. So he's like, hey, you sell real estate? I'm like, I sure do. What are you doing on the car lot? Because we don't do both at the same time, you know, and so you make jokes and you do whatever. So if you don't know how to enter in that conversation, sometimes put a little branding on yourself and it makes it pretty easy to that conversation just kind of comes to you. And then once they're conversing with you, yes, the open-ended questions, go, right? For the introverted people, it's kind of harder. So sometimes you've either got to learn to get out of the comfort zone or put things and systems in place to get people to want to come talk to you, right? Awesome. All right, so 30 days to contract success. This is another one of these like little systems and models that I have in there, but I've kind of fine-tuned it for you guys. So I kind of wanted to go through this. It's, again, not very long, but good stuff in here. And most of it you should already know. So it's plan, do, and time block, okay? So plan, schedule 2 open houses a month. If open houses are your thing. If open houses are not your thing, you're gonna have to figure out something else to do, right? I'm not pushing open houses on people, but I will say they do work, right? Dustin, how many open houses do you do a month?
I try to do at least minimum 2.
At least minimum 2.
I've
And,
had 2 in one weekend one time, so.
right, he's getting his quota in. You pull contact information out of every single open house you do. He has follow-ups, right? So for Dustin, it works because one, he likes doing it and it's easy for him, right? And I say easy as in
I'm comfortable with it.
he's comfortable. Thank you. Yes. Another thing.
I have a question about that.
Research. Who's talking? What?
Sorry, about the open houses, how do you guys like do that? Do you make connections with other realtors and you're just like, hey, can I help you run this? Like, or would it be helpful to maybe post in the Facebook group chat and be like, does anyone have any open houses that I can shadow and help with? Because I haven't done one yet, but that's been something like top on my priority list is trying to get experience doing some of those.
Yes. So one, if you follow the internal Facebook group. There is tons of bigger teams that say, here's my 3 or 4 open houses. Just be quick to get on there and do that. Once you've gotten in with a team, sometimes they reach out to you directly and say, hey, do you want to take one of my open houses? Another one would be go look online and see, pick a house that you want and call that agent and say, hey, I would love to host an open house for you.
Find one that's recently been listed.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Okay.
Brand new or brand new price drop. Brand new is even better. And then really, yeah, you can post it out on the Facebook internal group as well. And then obviously anybody in our group, when they have an open house, they either do it themselves or, you know, Amy doesn't do her own. She makes sure somebody else does those ones. I think she jumped off here, so now I can talk about her.
I'm on
Oh,
here and I am doing my own this weekend. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. See guys, she's changing the way she does things. No, okay. So pick a subdivision to research, right? We just had this conversation. If you try to learn all of it all at once, it's too much and you're going to miss things. Pick an area, you know, is it Quail Creek right down the street? And then learn what's interesting about that neighborhood and why people would want to move there and what kind of houses are in that neighborhood, right? Do they have basements? Really, it's only on the backside that has the basements. Know what's going on, know what year they were built, right? Start to learn about it. What's important about it? You know, look at Ravenwood. Ravenwood backs right up into, you know, the bigger Ravenwood South and Lakewood and Spring Creek. And those houses are older. And these are, you know, like junior way in sometimes. And they're all old 70s houses that have either, they need complete remodels and guts or they've been done and they're awesome. How do you know that? Well, I know that because I lived there for a while and then I just got to know that neighborhood. It was also when I first got into real estate, right? So I kind of got to watch Ravenwood grow into this really cool thing. Know your communities, know the schools, know those things, but pick something small. And what is the easiest thing to start with?
Your neighborhood?
Ah, yes, you guys are so smart. Yes, no, pick your own neighborhood. Why? You live there. Does it piss you off when somebody else lists a house in your neighborhood? Sure does me. And then who's to blame for that? This girl right here, because I didn't go and knock on that door and let them know who I was and what I was doing, right? So that's one thing. Pick a networking event that interests you, right? We used Dustin's example earlier. He's into cars. Nate, you're into travel, right? Like, are there not a million travel groups out there that if you were to infiltrate a little bit, you may be the guy that they talk real estate to? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about that, but I don't know of any locally, but I mean, there's no reason why I can't start one
And does it have to be locally? Because there is referrals.
well, true.
And that's harder when you don't know the people. I get that. But I mean, it'd be worth it. It's something you are passionate about and you love to talk about. So it makes sense. Tim, what kind of networking things do you do? Or should you do?
I'm so glad you asked. So I started a golf club. 417gc.org. You guys go to it and check it out if you want to see what it is. It is a golf club. I've got 40 members. I did last year. We ran about 12 tournaments. I love golf, right? And I give a 2-stroke penalty to anybody that uses another realtor. Yeah, right. And the whole room laughs, except for the guy who got the 2-stroke penalty, and I don't care. He's already got a realtor. Right? But then it's like, it's not even asking for business, but it's asking for business, right?
That's forcing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Nate's getting a 2-stroke penalty on this one because he sold his house to somebody else. They didn't even ask me a question. And everybody on the green goes, well, you dumbass. Tim runs this trail. Why aren't you working with him? He's great.
I love
That's
that.
actually a
Yeah.
wonderful idea, yeah.
It was expensive. I mean, I've got thousands and thousands of dollars into it. But I do not mind pouring my time and soul into it because I want to play golf on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's what I want to do with my money, right? It's what I want to do with my time.
But your return on that thousands of dollars that you've invested.
It's a
in the golf
long-term
club
play,
is-
Nate, and I'm,
So is this something you've done recently? Like you
I
haven't?
started it in May.
Okay.
Yep, so this will be my second year. Hope to get like 4 team captains, but then bring in another 20 to 40 people apiece. So I have 100 to 150 person golf club and we're fielding 24 to 48 people every tournament.
But you haven't had anyone that's used you as their realtor yet.
I have, only thing. That's not true. Yes, I do have people.
So even if you've spent several $1,000s, you've already got return on your investment.
Yep, and you know what? I don't even think about that stuff. I think about what do I want to do? How do I want to live my life? Right? And keep those conversations going. I'm a Rotarian. Okay? Rotarian is not about business networking. Rotarian is about service to your community. So that takes all the pressure off of, selling myself. Because what Rotary gives me is people who know me, like me, and trust me. Have we heard this before? Right? How do I get a whole bunch of people? So every Wednesday I have breakfast with 45 people. And I am I'm in charge of like fundraising for the Rotary International thing that we do. We call it the foundation. So I get to speak in front of everybody every week about what's going on with foundation this week. And if I don't have anything to talk about, I make it up. Because I just want them to know me, like me, and trust me, right? And I get to give out these little pins to people who give money to my foundation and congratulate them in front of everybody, And I made a pledge when I joined Rotary and to myself that anybody who gave me a referral or did business with me, I would donate $1,000 to the foundation. Without going into things, let's just leave it at that. So I donate $1,000 to donation and that gets them a pin or a jewel in their pin. So then I get to say, thanks, Jeff, for doing business with me. Here's the pin in front of everybody, and everybody knows that Jeff did business with me. And can ask him, what's going on? That's enough for now.
No, that's great. No, I'm so glad you came today. So glad I called you yesterday. Amy, tell us about your networking event, and she has had a return on that because she's part of several different networks and got a few. Amy, go ahead.
Okay. I mean, the two things that I truly do for networking are I'm part of a networking group. I've been part of it it'll be 2 years in March. I have only gotten one deal out of it, but I know of several that are coming down the pipeline. I have through that group though, also one of the things that you have to think about, it's not just about the money that comes into your pocket, it's about how you're able to serve your clients. So there's several people in that group who now co-serve my clients with me, lenders and insurance agents and a variety of other people, moving company. So I'm able to offer better service because of that networking group. And then Maria and I have been having some ladies nights. We've had, actually, we've just had one so far. We had a second one that we planned and then the weather went down to 20 degrees, so we weren't able to do it. But again, remember, it's not about the event, it's about the lead up and the post follow up to those events. So even the event that we didn't get to have, we had several conversations with people before the event and when we had to cancel the event. So that one has brought clients to me. But the biggest thing for me has been my sphere, because I have had past businesses. So I had networking that I did in the past, because remember, everything that we do is leading towards future business. You're not going to go out and network this week and next week you have a client. So you're going to network. And then 3 months, 6 months, 24 months later, you're going to get business from that networking.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you said that. They're very rare outside of buying leads. Do you get that ready to go hot right now business? It does happen, right? Like we've gone places and we've picked up a buyer or picked up a seller or whatever.
Open house is a good place to find ready now leads.
This is true. But some of them aren't, right? Like Dustin, how many are you working with that are not ready? Probably more than are,
Yeah.
right? Only because I know, because we talk weekly about it. But a lot of these things are long-term, right? It's the long game, just like you said. And you got to be patient, but you also got to be working it diligently and talking to as many people as possible. Yes.
You can't really express that enough. Like my Rotary, I've done, I don't know how many deals, 10 out of Rotary, but I didn't do a deal for 2 years. You know, and I would talk to people who were doing deals, you know, hey, we do a thing called Happy Dollars. I sold my house for 30,000 over asking, so give them Happy Dollars, you know. I walk up to them afterwards, who are you using? Why are you using them? You know, find out why they, you know, I'm not accusing them, but then I also got my little group of friends who would say to them later, you should have used 10. You know, I mean, what's up with that? But it is, the networking thing's a long-term play. It really, really is. And you have to, so getting in networks that you want to be in long-term, it's really love,
Yeah.
is the advice there.
That's the thing. You gotta like it. Otherwise, what are you doing, right? Pleasurable and profitable. Sometimes the profit comes later. And there are things you gotta make money, right? So we do know that how to get there a little bit faster, but these ones are really great and they just take a little while to build, okay? Pick a goal for how many social media posts you're gonna do. Whether you like it or not, social media is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, so figure it out. That's all I can say. I hated Facebook. I didn't want a Facebook or an Insta whatever, or a Twitter, whatever. I don't know, I don't like it, but now I've had to just kind of adapt to it. And it's okay, because guess what? It's free. And it gets to more people. You are just there all the time. So make peace with it. Like some people have to make peace with lead gen. I had to make peace with social media. Okay. Find a dialogue partner. In this group, you should have a scripting partner, dialogue partner, accountability partner. We're going to start seeing some changes where we're doing little pods coming forward, because it doesn't always work between those two people, and that schedule doesn't always work for those two people. And guess what? People do graduate out of the program. So then what are you supposed to do once they graduate out? Get comfortable tracking, either use Command or use a spreadsheet. Remember, I don't care what lens you're using, but let's figure it out. You got to track everything. Track how many hours a day you're doing the thing. Track how many attempts you have to make to get a two-way conversation, and then how many two-way conversations did you have to get a signed agreement, an appointment, you know, or a contract, because that's your conversion right there. We can't go through the economic model unless you know what your conversions are. Otherwise, we have to just take the national averages, right? And you may be way above or way below. And that's where we figure out, is it a lead problem or is it a skill set conversion problem? Okay. Work with your collateral materials. What does that mean? That's your listing presentation, that's your buyer presentation, that's your door hangers, your whatever, the collateral materials. Start working on them, fine tuning them in your downtime, okay? And then time block for success. So speaking of time blocking, guys, it's not just for lead generation. It is for everything. If you look at my calendar, every inch of my life is time blocked because, well, first off, I have an awful memory. So if it's not on there, it's just not going to happen. But what should be on there is dialogue practice, open houses, not just the open house, but the activities that are leading up to your open house. Are you calling and circle prospecting? Are you going to go put your signs out, door knocks and doors, and make a Facebook Live or some kind of video? Like all of those activities need to be blocked, and then put a note in there as to what you're doing. Keep yourself organized, right? What did, I forget Gerald, he's like, don't be a jerk to future Gerald, right? So make sure that the present tense person is being awesome to your future self. Do your market research, right? Find your farming subdivision, know your school districts, know what Parks and Recs is doing. That's all part of the market research to be the best of be you, right? Write mock contracts. Please do not let the first time you write a contract be at 9 o'clock on a Friday night after I've had 3 glasses of wine and you want me to walk you through it. It's not gonna be good for you, and my husband's gonna be mad at me, right? You don't want that. So start writing mock contracts and turning them in. I am begging you to please do this with me. Do it when I am sane, not after I've had a few. Database management. I mean that in every way possible. Manage your database. Look at every single person in there as a human, as a person that you need to help get to the next stage. And if that doesn't do it for you, look at them as a $6,000 paycheck just sitting there waiting for you. Okay, whatever way you're motivated, figure it out and start managing it better. And this may be feeling a little bit like gators chomping at you. I'm sorry. It's just, we're in February today. Like we're getting into Q1. We got to get things done, right? You will not make it in this market if you don't start putting things under contract, right? So let's take a 30-day glimpse into the future, what do we need to do to get a contract for you? It's in this list. Listing presentations and buyer guides, that's your collateral material again. So time block to research them, look at ones, make your own. And then obviously your social media. Do every day. This is what the top producers do. This is what the people who are getting contracts and listing agreements and buyers signed, this is what they do. They dialogue practice, they connect with 20 people, they track their results, and they post on social media, whichever social media you so prefer to do. And then weekly, they preview 10 homes. Go to the homes, go preview the homes. If there's a vacant home, especially in a market, in a subdivision you're trying to figure out, go preview it, go look at it. I always say vacant because I hate to bother somebody if you actually don't have somebody, wait till the open house if it's owner occupied. Or if you're like, hey, I might actually have a buyer, I'm gonna go preview it, great, take a video while you're there. Do a CMA on 3 of those homes. Again, please don't wait till that 9 o'clock at night on a Friday night to ask me what I think of your comps. I'm glad to do it on a not Friday night at 9 o'clock after I've had my 3 glasses because I drink them very fast. And my glasses aren't your glasses. They're about this big. So there's that. So start doing your practice. This is how you get better at it. Because guess what? CMAs have changed a lot, right? We talked about that. What was it, last week? Wednesday or the week before, I can't remember, the week before, we had somebody come in and talk about how to price in this market, right? So if you're working on the buy side, you want to know, are you protecting your buyer's investment, right? Because we're coming from a market where it was like, I don't care what the CMA says, do you want the house or not, right? That's speed set, not skill set. So we got to go back to figuring out, are you overbuying this house? What do the current comps run? How do you know this? Because you did your market research. Right? We can't do all of our research from a computer at home. We've got to have boots on the ground. We've got to be able to, I can look at a picture and probably smell it at this point. Okay. So you got to be there too. Learn your subdivision weekly. And if you have finished that subdivision, now you feel like you know everything, let's move on to the next one, right? Go to a networking event once a week, go or plan or figure it out. Add 20 new contacts to Command. If you can add 20 new people to Command or whatever database you're using weekly, think about what your future self is going to be celebrating. Okay, how do you add new contacts to Command? All of these things. Every time you meet somebody and you get their information, they are now a lead in your database. Okay, and then try to get face-to-face with 3 clients a week. Is it coffee dates? Is it a buyer strategy session? Is it a listing home valuation? Doesn't even have to be a listing appointment, a home valuation, right? Knock, knock, I'm your neighbor. Do you want to know what your house is worth? Cool. Let's have a talk about that. That could work for some of you. I don't know. But that's really it. There's no magic here, guys. These are the things that you've been hearing over and over and over, but I'm just condensing it to short words for you. Are there any questions so far? Any comments? Was I too abrasive this morning? I'm sorry if I was. I've been stuck at home on Zooms for 2 days.
I have 2 comments for you.
Okay.
Your 3 face-to-face with clients. They don't have to be business meetings. You know, I've played pool on Fridays at noon with a bunch of different people and they're all clients.
You have a really fun life. I just want you to know, you golf, you eat breakfast with people, you go down play pool. Like I want to come
I
hang
want
out
to be
with
like
you.
them when I grow up.
Yeah.
You know, when I first started, it's so much pressure to do business. And I lost myself a little bit. And I realized that the whole point is interacting with people in a fun way. And if I'm uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable, right? So let's go to comfortable situations. The other one is when I first started, I want to talk about collateral a little bit for you guys, is that I was shocked that the market center didn't provide me with all the collateral I needed. I thought I could walk up to the front desk and get my listing presentation, get my buyer's presentation, get all these things that I needed. If I could just think of them, they should already exist. They don't. They're expensive to create and they're difficult to design, but you will stand out completely by other agents, of every other agent, if you have bound printed materials that speak about you and what your message is. That's a long-term thing that you do over the course of a year. But if you don't start today, it's going to be another year tomorrow and another year the next day.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
And I would say, start with your listing presentation stuff.
And I'll have the Market Center back on this one, just because you are gonna run your listing presentation differently than Holly's going to.
Well,
Oh, no, I'm just
Market Center.
explaining them. No, I know you know, I
I
know.
thought that that would be how it is. We all have expectations.
Yeah, like isn't it just
And when it
copy and
didn't, I
paste,
was
right?
like, I'm gonna be crazy good at this because I know how to make collateral. It's something I did in a previous life.
Yeah.
You know, and there were people who were using McDonald's placemats because it was a map of Springfield. You know, there was a guy who was just typed out something out of Microsoft Word that had bullet points that he left on doors. Something's better than nothing, but something really professional makes you stand out
That's,
hugely.
I would almost argue the opposite, coming from a brokerage where you invent every single thing of yourself. I do kind of feel like we do, I mean, we don't technically go up to Bailey's desk and ask for it, but you can log in with the materials and make it your own. There are templates for everything. There's extra effort to it, and you got to do it. But I came from a place where I made everything myself.
Mhm.
And it wasn't stupid bullet points. I mean, I got better, but you got to start from somewhere. So I kind of argue it's there, you got to dig and you got to make it. But I do feel coming from nothing, it is kind of there.
Well,
and it's refined over the years. So
Yeah.
when he started, I don't know that it was there. In the command, I don't think it was.
yeah,
I think that might be
how to
newer.
buy a house, you know, how to sell your house, all these kind of things that you needed to make it up.
Yeah. So I'm like on this education template overload where I'm like, are you kidding me? Like this is provided? Because it kind of is for me,
Right.
coming in from being old school and making everything myself.
Yeah, no, and it's not gonna be unique to you, right? So that's why it's customizable. So I know Dustin and I, was that you? That we went through the template that's on command and you could see all the different things you could do. I have people that use Etsy because they like that, or they use the design app, which I'm really bad at. Canva's not my jam at all. I would rather just pay somebody to do those kinds of things for me. But yes, they are provided now. No, they weren't provided back then. And part of the reason I think is A, they hadn't come up with the software for it, and B, because you got to be unique and authentic to who you are. So good points, guys. This is what I love about this class. Awesome. But yeah, to your point, the 3 face-to-faces, they don't have to be in your past client. They don't even have to be doing anything in real estate this year, right? 3 face-to-face with people. It's helping you get into the public, because then, you know, I go and I take Emmy to lunch or coffee because I'm poor. So we're going to go to coffee instead. And she's probably going to buy her own. And we're going to talk about whatever Emmy wants to talk about. And it's just a good communication, and it's just a good, and then Emmy's going to be so impressed by that, because I actually did buy her coffee, that she's going to go tell somebody that, you know, I took time out of my day to go do that. Right. So it's connecting with people, and you never know where that's going to lead you. Right. When you come from curiosity and you come from contribution and you come from these good places, the good just comes right back at you. And then the other side of me says, and you have to ask, right? Once you are pouring into your database, you reserve the right to ask for their business and let them know what you're doing. But that is on your own accord, right? I can't tell you how to have these relationships. That's your relationships to have. I can just tell you, like, don't forget, you do this for money as well, right? Usually it works out, but if you're super passive, don't expect a direct approach to come back at you. Passive equals passive back. Cool. Anybody online got anything?
I have one more thing I want to mention. So just kind of thinking back to networking, you know, think about the things that, like Shanna said, that you really enjoy, and like what Tim's been talking about, the things that really bring joy and passion into your life. One of the things that I do is, since September of 2020, I have been part of a small ladies group that has a call every Wednesday morning from 8 to 9. And we talk about Jesus. And so that's just kind of our thing that we're all very passionate about. There are only, on any given week, I would say that we have about 10 people who hop on here and there, but there's usually about 5 of us on the call. And this past year, that turned into 3 transactions for me. It also allowed me to help someone who was in need, whose landlord was getting ready to sell the home that they were living in. And we were able to find, through my network, another investor to come and buy the home so that they could stay in the home.
Good for you, Amy.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
It
So don't underestimate the things that you enjoy doing, no matter how small they may also seem. Because I mean, just having 5 women that I'm talking to every week to turn into that was really rewarding for me.
Love that. Thank you, Amy. Awesome. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut down the Zoom, and we're finishing 4 minutes early, so you're welcome. But we will stay down here for anybody who wants to do some dialogue practice on some objection handling and things like that. Online, sorry about you. No, just kidding. Call somebody in the group. Just call them and start dialogue practicing 15 minutes. It'll make a difference in your business, I promise. All right. Otherwise, I will see you guys Friday, as long as the weather stays the way it is. Friday, 8 a.m. Nixa for lead gen. Awesome. All right. Anybody need to take a potty break before we get going? Thanks, Dawn.